So solving systems. This is the very last page. We're going to come back to day 10 on Monday when we have time to talk about it. So we wanted to make sure that we did solving systems first. That way we could spend these next 3 days practicing them. Okay, it's perfect for you guys. You get a half a period tomorrow, half a period the next day, and then a full period Friday to review all the stuff that we've been doing so far in this pink packet, which is factoring, which some of you really need some help with. Okay, and I'm going to sit down with each and every one of you, walk around. I'll show you your grade, how you're doing in here, and talk about things that maybe you should improve on, and also things that you are doing really good on. Okay, so we have quadratic and linear systems. Remember, quadratic looks like this, like a U, and linear is just a line. Okay, quadratic we've been working with this whole entire chapter so far, so that's like that little U shape, and then we have that line right there. Okay, examples. What would happen if you have no solution? So yesterday we had no solution, one solution, and infinitely many solutions. We can't have infinitely many solutions this time because a quadratic can never be linear. That they can't be the same. That's not possible. Okay, so no solutions would be something like this. You can draw yourself a graph with a little U and maybe a line that will never touch. Okay, those will never touch. They will never intersect. So there is no solutions. Okay, that's never going to happen. They're never going to touch. Whereas one solution would be something like, a line like this, and it crosses only one time. Maybe it's at the vertex right there. You can see it only crosses once. Whereas two solutions, they're going to intersect twice. So draw yourself a line, and then draw yourself a U that goes through both right there. So if you were asked to find the solutions of these graphs, that's what they would look like. No solution, one solution right here. There's two of them right here. Okay, so it's possible, how yesterday we only got one answer, one ordered pair. We can get two ordered pairs this time. Okay, so yesterday was stuff that you've already learned. Today is actually math 3 stuff that you have not learned. I think this is the first time so far this whole entire school year that you're learning something new. Okay, this whole other topics that we've done so far, you have seen at least once. I know it's been a while, but you have seen them at one point in your math career. Okay, so solving systems graphically. Let's take a look here. If you were to get out your graphing calculator and graph x squared, you can do that. Or we can just plot some points. I know 0, 0 is going to be there. If I plug in 0, I get back 0. If I plug in 1, 1 squared is just 1. What's 2 squared? 2 squared, 4. Okay, and then they reflect over. Now, again, you're more than welcome to go ahead and graph that in your calculator, but we're not going to be doing a lot of graphs, so I'm not going to force you to get out your calculators right now. All right, let's see if you remember this from freshman year. Okay, we have this thing called slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b from way back when. Does anyone remember what this m is? The slope. What about the b? Y. The y-intercept. That's why it's called slope-intercept form. So if, again, you don't have a graphing calculator for whatever reason, and you had to graph this, you can use that. Technically, the y-intercept here would be at 0. So I'm going to go ahead and plot that in pink, 0, 0. Now, remember, your slope is 2. So what was slope? That was rise over run. So we go up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1. So up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, and use your lanyard or whatever you have to draw yourself a line. Again, I'm not going to have you guys graphing these yourselves. I'm just showing you graphically how you would get these solutions. Okay, so I have two solutions, one right here in green, and there's another one in green too. Okay, so I'm going to have two ordered pairs as my answers, just like yesterday. Yesterday we just had one. Today we have two. Okay, one is at 0, 0. Where's the other point that they intersect at? 2, 4. I heard 4. Okay, good. You're okay. 2, 4, right there, that big dot. And you're done. That would be your answer. Okay. We are not going to do the next one, so you can flip when you're ready so I know you can move on. So that's solving graphically. Well, what if you didn't have a graphing calculator, or what if it was a non-graphing calculator test like the SAT could possibly be? Okay. Again, solving systems is one of those topics that we saw the most. That was what we had 3 questions last year on the test that had solving systems on it, algebraically without a graphing calculator. Okay, so that's why we make sure to stress it with you guys. Also, again, when you do those college entrance tests, they do have these types of math questions that are on there. So just like yesterday, you have to just take your time. So if I were to ask you to focus, make sure that you're focusing now. Okay, I know that you're tired. I know it's 6th period, but your heads all need to come up. There's like 4 of you with your heads down right now. Okay, here we go. First step, always set them equal to each other. So I'm going to write this out for the first round. Set equal to each other. That way you know what you need to do first when you're doing these problems. Okay, you got to just be really organized and really careful. And once you get it, it's not that bad as what I've been told from the last 2 periods. So I'm going to set these 2 equal to each other because look, they're both equal to y. So if they both equal y, they equal each other. Okay, so x squared plus x minus 2 is equal to negative x plus 1. Okay, I set them equal to each other. That was the first step. Now the second step is going to get one of the sides to be 0. That way that you can factor from last week. Okay, so remember math builds on each other. So we're going to be bringing factoring back today. So I'm going to move everything from this right side to the left side of the equation so that one of the sides is equal to 0. Okay, so I'm going to step 2, make one side equal to 0. Well, how would I do that? Like I said, we got to move that negative x to the left side, and you have to move the 1 to the left side. Yep. X squared plus x. What about it?
Not the x squared, but the x on the right.
Yep.
You would add it to the.
Yep. Very good. So what is that? What we have to do here? So that means I need to add x to both sides, and I need to subtract 1 to both sides. So I'm going to draw my line like kind of through my step there. I keep getting random phone calls, and I can't handle it. No. This is the 4th time, I'm not joking, in the past hour. What? That makes absolutely no sense. Like, no. All right, left to right, here we go. I have x squared. All right, what is x plus x? 2x. All right, negative 2 minus 1. Negative what? Negative 1 minus 2?
Oh, negative 1.
Negative 2 minus 1?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. I went both directions. Negative 2 minus 1 gets you negative 3. These ones are gone because they cancel with each other. Okay, so sorry, that step's in the way, but I wanted to make sure that you had the step there. All right, third step is to factor. So step 3, factor. Here we go. What multiplies to negative 3 but also adds to 2? We're bringing it back from last week. Lots of steps. Take a breather. Just follow the steps. You're capable of doing each and every step. You just got to take your time. What are the only 2 numbers that multiply to 3? 1 and? Good. Which one of them has to be negative? The 1. Good. Over there. Remember doing that table from last week? That's why we spent a whole day on the tables. Because remember, you're solving for x. That's the goal. Just like yesterday, we solved for x. We're doing the same thing here, and you have to factor to do that. So here we go. X minus 1, x plus 3 is equal to 0. That's from last week. All right, well, let's find out what our 2 x's are. Okay, just like last week, if I were to scroll back to the notes from last week, you would see this. What makes this guy equal to 0? X is equal to what number when you solve it? And then what about the next one? Negative 3. Careful. All right. So take a breather. That was like 98% of the work. We just got one little thing to do next. Because remember, yesterday we had to solve for the y as well, not just the x. Okay, so welcome to Math 3. This is Math 3 where there's more steps. Yesterday was Math 1. Okay, today is going to be Math 3. Okay? Math 2, I don't think you guys did linear equations unless you were with Mr. Rainey. I think he did it a little bit last year. Yeah. Okay. All right, now go off to the side. We need to find what the y's are. So step 4, plug in to find y. Here we go. Now remember, I'm going to kind of maybe put like underlining these pieces so that you know that you have to work with these two guys. I need to find a y for 1, and I need to find a y for -3. It's not that bad. Here we go. So when x is equal to 1, we need to figure out what y is. When x is equal to -3, let's figure out what y is. Some of you will not have to do all of this work. I'm putting all this down here so that you can see like how to do it by steps. Okay, so pick one of them. Maybe I'll pick this guy right here. All you're doing is taking that 1 and plugging it in to that equation. So here we go. -1 plus 1. What does that get you? -1 plus 1. 0. So my final answer for this guy is 1, 0. That's one of them. All right, let's do it again. All you're doing is you're plugging it into this. I'm going to put my finger there. It already has a negative there. Parentheses, -3 plus 1. All you're doing is you're taking this -3 and you're putting it in right there. It's called substitution. What's negative time? Yep, go ahead.
With the whole, it should be -2.
Careful. Because -1 times -3 is what?
3,
And then plus 1?
4.
4. So your final answer is -3, 4. Now the first one was a lot. And it's going to be a lot. I understand. I only gave you 2 questions on your homework. That's not a lot of questions. Okay? Because I need you to focus on taking your time. Once you get used to it and you have a guide to help you step by step, you will get better at it. It's everything that you've learned from this chapter so far. We did factoring last week, threw it in there. Okay, we did solving systems yesterday, put them together, and that's solving for quadratic and linear systems of equations. And it was a lot. Let's take our time. Let's take our time on this next one. We're going to be done. Just one more. All right. What was the very first step that we did in number 3? Yeah, you set them equal to each other. Okay, that's not bad. X squared minus 6x plus 9 is equal to -x plus 5. We're just setting them equal to each other. So again, when you're doing your homework, guys, like, please don't leave it blank. I know that you are capable of doing that step right there. Like, do something on it, even if you're getting stuck. Try to do something. Second step, make one of these sides equal to 0. So I'm going to move both these pieces over to the left by adding x. What do I do with that 5? Subtract it. Gone, gone, I get 0, which is what I wanted. Now go left to right. Bring down that x squared. -6x plus x. 7.
5.
Close.
Yeah. 6.
5 is right. -6 plus 1. Yeah, someone said it. -5. You were right with 5. It was just negative. That's why I said you're close. You're okay. Okay. All right. 9 minus 5. Okay, there we go. Awesome. Okay. See how much faster this is already going from the last one. Take a breather. Okay. Next step. You got all this. You're like, what do I do now? How do I solve for that? That's crazy. If they ever get that thought in your head, you have to factor because there's really no other way to solve for it. So what do we have to do? What multiplies to 4, it adds to -5. Yeah. 1 and 4 I saw over there. What'd you say? Very good. I'm glad that you got both of those right. Those are those 2 numbers. If I multiply those together, I get a +4. If I add them together, I get a -5. That's why they work. All right, here we go. We're using that. X minus 1, x minus 4 is equal to 0. So that's what factoring is from last week. Whatever these 2 numbers are, that's what it becomes. We're almost there. It's so much quicker than the first round we did it. All right, there are 2 answers here. One of them is good. All right, now the easy part, in my opinion, just plugging them in. Do you have questions on any of those steps right there? Set them equal to each other. Make one side equal to 0. Factor. Okay. Now, last part. Find its pair. It needs a y. Can't be alone over here. Okay? So again, you can just get out your calculator right now and you can plug this in. When x is equal to 1, y is going to be equal to a -1 plus 5. I'm using this equation right here. You could choose to use this one if you want. It just would take you longer to get there. What is -1 plus 5? Careful. 4. So my final answer is 1, 4 for that one. Let's see when x is equal to 4 because there was 2 of them. All right, so again, I'm using this equation. All I'm doing is I'm plugging it in. Y is equal to a -4 plus 5. -4 plus 5 gets you 1. So would I write 4, 1 or 1, 4? There you go. X's always come first.